All right, today we're jumping into one of the most incredible, most dramatic prophecies in the entire Bible. We're talking about Ezekiel's vision of a national resurrection. I mean, it's this powerful, powerful story about a people who have lost absolutely everything and somehow find hope rising from the ashes. So I want you to just imagine this for a second. A whole nation, scattered, shamed. They've lost their land, their temple, their king, even their very identity. And the core question Ezekiel is wrestling with is, can a nation that is, for all intents and purposes, dead, actually be brought back to life? So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to walk through this in 5 parts. We'll start with a new heart in Ezekiel 36, see the dry bones come to life in 37, face a massive invasion in 38, witness a final victory in 39, and end with the vision of a new temple in chapter 40. It's quite a journey. Okay, let's get right into it. The prophecy actually starts in a place you might not expect. It's not with the people, it's with the land. God begins by speaking directly to the mountains of Israel, which had been just completely shamed and left desolate by their enemies. And what God promises here is just stunning. He basically says, I'm going to reverse the curse. Those barren mountains that all the other nations were laughing at, he says they're going to sprout branches and be filled with fruit again. This desolate land is going to become like the Garden of Eden itself. Wow. But here's the thing. It's not just about the physical land. That's just the start. This restoration goes way deeper, into the spiritual realm. God promises something that sounds like, well, a divine heart transplant. He says, I'm going to take out your stony, rebellious heart, and I'm going to give you a heart of flesh, one that's soft and obedient. You see, this isn't just about changing behavior. It's a total transformation from the inside out. It's about renewing the entire covenant. And you know, what's so crucial here is the why. God makes it super clear. He's not doing this because Israel earned it or deserves it. Nope. He's doing it for the sake of his own holy name, which had been profaned among the nations when his people were defeated. This whole massive restoration project, it's all about showing the entire world who he really is. Okay, so this whole theme of bringing life from death, it gets even more intense, more graphic in the very next chapter. So we've had a dead land and a dead-hearted people being promised new life. Now, God gives Ezekiel one of the most unforgettable visions in the entire Bible. So picture this. Ezekiel finds himself in a valley just filled with dry, scattered bones, super dry. And God tells him, prophesy to these bones. And as he does, this incredible thing starts to happen. First, there's this rattling sound as the bones start connecting to each other, then tendons and flesh start appearing on them, and finally, breath enters these bodies, and they stand up on their feet, a vast, massive army. It is just so cinematic, this vision of resurrection. And just so there's absolutely no confusion about what this means, God spells it out for him. He says, Son of man, these bones, they're the whole house of Israel. They're the ones in exile saying, our bones are dried up. Our hope is completely lost. So this vision is a direct, unmistakable promise that God is going to open their graves, the exile they're in, and bring them all back home. But the chapter doesn't stop there. It gives us another really powerful symbol. Ezekiel is told to take 2 sticks. One represents the southern kingdom, Judah, and the other represents the northern kingdom, Joseph, or Ephraim. Now you have to remember, these 2 kingdoms had been split for centuries, often fighting each other. So for Ezekiel to hold them and have them become one single stick in his hand, that was a radical prophecy. It meant the restored nation wouldn't just be brought back. It would be made whole again, united under one king, with one everlasting covenant of peace. All right, so just when you think the story's reached its happy ending, right? The people are back, their hearts are new, they're living in peace. Bam, a final, terrifying threat appears out of nowhere. And this is the ultimate test of their newfound security. And this threat comes in the form of a mysterious figure named Gog from the lands of Magog. Now, people have debated for ages about who exactly Gog is, but his role in the story is crystal clear. He represents this huge force of chaos and evil rising up against God's people in the latter days. He sees this peaceful, restored nation, seemingly undefended, and the Bible says he thinks an evil thought. He decides to just go and plunder them. And yeah, Gog is not coming alone. He puts together this massive coalition of nations. We're talking Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, and a bunch of others from way up north. The prophecy really drives home the sheer scale of this invasion. It says they come down on Israel like a cloud to cover the land. Just imagine that.
So what happens? How does God respond to this apocalyptic level threat against the very people he just restored? Well, he steps in directly. And what he does is so dramatic, it's meant to show his absolute power once and for all. I mean, God's victory is so total, so absolute, that it will take the people of Israel 7 months just to bury all the dead and cleanse the land. That just gives you a sense of the staggering number of casualties on the enemy's side. And get this, the scale of the defeat is so massive that for 7 years, the people of Israel won't need firewood. They'll just use all the abandoned weapons from the invading army for fuel. 7 years. That's how much stuff is left behind. So, what's the whole point of this epic battle? It's revealed right here. This final divine victory, it's not just about wiping out an enemy. It's about cementing, once and for all, Israel's knowledge of who God is. And it's about making his holy name known to every nation, leaving zero doubt about his power and his protection. Okay, let's take stock. The people, renewed spiritually. The nation, resurrected. Their security, proven beyond a doubt. So now we get to the grand climax of the whole prophecy, the return of God's very presence, symbolized by a brand new, perfect temple. So in this vision, Ezekiel is transported to a high mountain, and there's this divine guide with a measuring reed, and he starts meticulously mapping out a new temple. Now, all this measuring, it's not just about architecture. It's symbolic. It represents the restoration of divine precision, of perfect order, of absolute holiness. The whole chapter is basically this detailed tour that Ezekiel has taken on. Every single gate, every wall, every chamber and court is measured out precisely. The level of detail is almost, well, it's overwhelming, but there's a reason for it. It's meant to communicate that every single aspect of this new place of worship is designed according to a divine, perfectly holy standard. So what we get is this incredibly comprehensive plan for this new space. We see the layout of the outer court and the inner court, the specific rooms for the priests, the tables for the offerings, the altar, the whole shebang. It's literally a blueprint for a perfectly restored relationship between a holy God and his people. So when you step back and look at it, you see this incredible journey, this arc of ascending hope. It moves so logically from the renewal of people's hearts and the resurrection of their nation right through to proving their absolute security. And where does it all lead? To the ultimate goal, communion with God in a holy place. And that right there is the main takeaway from this whole prophecy. These chapters aren't separate ideas. They build a single powerful story. God's ultimate plan isn't just about rescue. It's about relationship. He saves his people from their mess so that he can sanctify them and ultimately live among them. So we'll leave you with this to think about. After everything, the new heart, the resurrected nation, and the defeated enemies, the whole story climaxes with a blueprint for a building, a dwelling place. What does it really mean that the ultimate goal of all this restoration is simply for God's holy presence to be with his people?